Hello, Internet, and welcome to the SwirlyCast, the only audio show that can be enjoyed by humans and yokai alike, and is the subject of a completely changing intro every single time that we do an episode. I'm your host, Koma. Happy you decided to spend a few minutes out of your day to come hang out with us, and with formalities out of the way, what's on the mind today? Well, it's going to be a bit of an oddball topic, this one. I know, coming from me, that's very shocking. But today we're going to be talking about a rare, as in the developer, Nintendo 64 game called Mickey Speedway USA. Now, some of you might be unaware about this game actually existing. Like, Rare made a Mickey Mouse game? Like, what? Yeah, they did. And it's actually one of their better games for the N64 in my eyes. Now, let's quickly go over a little bit of history with this game before we actually start talking about the game proper. This was one of the last few games that Rare developed for Nintendo before being bought out by Microsoft in 2002. Along with that, it would also be Banjo-Tooie and Conker's Bad Fur Day. This game came out in 2000, so Banjo-Tooie would have been out afterwards, and then Conker's Bad Fur Day came out in 2001, right before the GameCube came out. So it makes it one of the lesser-known N64 games, but it is still pretty quality. So it's just a little bit of a history lesson for you if you were curious about the development of this one. So let's talk about the game quickly before we move on to what I like about it. This is obviously a racing game built on the Diddy Kong Racing engine. I did a little bit of research before coming to record this episode, and it actually turns out it is confirmed. Mickey Speedway USA uses the Diddy Kong Racing engine, because of the modeling and how the tires are sprites and not full-on textures. And it matches its pretty addictive, bouncy gameplay, in my opinion. Honestly, I think it's a better racing game than Diddy Kong Racing, but we'll save my personal opinions for a little later on. So let's talk about the story real quick, because it is a very simplistic one, but I think it fits the world of Mickey Mouse relatively well. The story, in very simplistic terms, involves these villains called the Weasels stealing Pluto because of his new diamond collar. Mickey comes home to notice that Pluto is missing and with a postcard of the Weasels. Obviously, Mickey is very distraught by this and calls all of his friends, including Pete for some reason. I'm not sure why. And they all go to Ludwig von Drace to get racing cars to head after the Weasels. And that's about as simplistic as a story goes. Again, it fits the world of Mickey Mouse, and, it's very cartoony, it's lighthearted, it isn't too serious, like, these villains are stealing Pluto because of his collar. It's nice and cartoony, and it's something that I appreciate. So let's talk about gameplay proper now, because I said this before, but it's the same engine as Diddy Kong Racing, so if you're familiar with that game, you should feel right at home here, because it matches the same bouncy gameplay, like I said before. Along with that, a couple of other things are a little bit different compared to Diddy Kong Racing. Mainly power-ups. Now, in Diddy Kong Racing, if you went over a specific color balloon, like red gives you missiles, blue gives you turbo, all that other stuff, you would just get that one power-up. Mickey Speedway USA works more like a traditional car racer in that you actually get random items at these barrels, which is very different compared to Diddy Kong Racing, like I said. The items themselves aren't really that unique compared to its contemporaries in Mario Kart 64, because the drone is essentially the red shell, the baseball is essentially the green shell, and so on and so forth. But it just proves to show that Rare can do contemporary well, while still having their own original identity. Again, it matches the Mickey Mouse universe, so that's all good in my book. So let's talk about a couple of notable tracks, because, the track design in this game is pretty good. So let's talk about one of the earlier tracks in the game, Las Vegas. Now, as Mickey Speedway USA is based on, the USA, all the tracks are notable locations in the country. So one of the big tracks is obviously Las Vegas, because it's a very bright and flashy city, you get casinos and stuff like that, And I just like a lot of neon light colors in my kart racing tracks. And thus, Las Vegas is obviously one of my favorites. It's nice and simplistic, it isn't too difficult, it's got great music. What more could you want? Another notable track, in my opinion, is Alaska. Now, if you know me, I hate ice levels. I hate them with a passion. More than I do water levels. Unless you're Hydrocity Zone in Ice Paradise. Then you're okay in my books. But Alaska is one of the good ones. For one, it doesn't rely on ice physics, so that's a good thing right off the bat. And two, well, it's just a well-designed track overall. It's nice and colorful, it's bright, it doesn't really overstay its welcome a little too much, like most ice tracks do. Yeah, it's just a well-designed track overall. And Hawaii is one final track that I do want to bring special mention to. It is one of the last tracks in the game, but I think it's one of the better ones overall. It's got a nice balance of difficulty, it matches its theme very well. It's kind of difficult, but it's one of the last tracks in the game, so that's to be expected. That'd be like saying, ugh, Rainbow Road isn't that hard anymore. Like, yo, it isn't that bad. So with that, let's talk about the end of the game. And ouch. This is one of the lesser things that I don't like about this game. Its difficulty curve is very good until after Hawaii. Because after Hawaii, oh lordy. Tracks like Colorado, Texas, and I don't know the other one off the top of my head. But Frantic Finale is one of the worst cups in any game kart racer that I've ever played. Hawaii is the only exception here. Every other track I do not like. Oh, Oregon. I just remembered. It's Oregon. Oregon. Oregon Trail. Yeah. The other three tracks in that cup, they all suck. They're very difficult, and yeah, you really gotta be a master at the game in order to get good rankings in these tracks, and that's what it encourages. I like that the game is challenging though, but I think it's a little much in my opinion. But that's just my thoughts on the end of the game. Overall, everything is just very, very good. Yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts on the game as a whole. It's very, very good. It's got nice production values. The music is incredible. It's one of the things that I would honestly recommend that you check out. Like, just by music alone, it sounds so good. It's one of the best soundtracks on the N64, right by Diddy Kong Racing and Banjo-Kazooie. Which is pretty cool because it is, it's by Rare. Rare almost always has great music in their games, and it's great. And in terms of the game as a whole, if you like Diddy Kong Racing or Mario Kart 64 or any kind of kart racer that's in general, yeah, you're gonna like Mickey Speedway USA. It'll give you a run for your money once you get to the later cups in the game, but it is really fun when you figure out the patterns and the best way to get through the tracks. Honestly, I wish the tracks from this game would come to SRB2 kart. I would love to play that game with this control scheme. Or heck, just in general, I would like to see more Mickey Speedway USA representation in like fan games and ROM hacks and stuff like that. That would be awesome. This game gets no attention and it's really sad. Because it's just a licensed game. But it's a good licensed game, like Battle for Bikini Bottom, from what I hear. I haven't played it yet, but I heard it's really good. I honestly would recommend giving this one a shot. It has the Rare seal of quality. It's an N64 game by Rare. Almost all of them are good. Aside from Donkey Kong 64, but we can just leave that one out. It's really solid, and I really recommend this one. Yeah, it's a good game. And I just want some more attention given to it. It honestly deserves it. But with that, I think that's where we're going to be calling the episode for now. I hope you all have enjoyed. This has been Koma, and ladies and gents and NBs we do not exclude on this channel. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the SwirlyCast. Until next time, everybody, Bye-bye! Really, though, why would you steal a dog for a collar? That doesn't make any sense.